Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Woke Guidance with Harriet Eve 9. I am your host, Harriet Eve 9, and I welcome you all to my podcast. Today, we're going to be speaking about India Arie and Young Miami. India Arie is a walking, talking contradiction. She singled out Young Miami because of Young Miami's new hot song, Spin That. But where India Arie lost the plot is that she could have had this conversation about the entire generation of female rappers and their degenerate music, as well as the female rappers from her generation and their degenerate music. She didn't do that because she wanted to target Young Miami because of Young Miami's relationship with disgraced music mogul Diddy. Let's talk about it.
Come through, I think I need you. I swear it's time to keep these feelings to myself. Now you're the one I'm thinking of. My higher ground, my rocket love. For gravity, I'd rather stay up here. So we can get away. Palm trees, beach views on a night day. All I wanna hear is the images that we play. Staring next to you. I'm trying not to slow. How I feel about you. Wish away. We do what we want. I just wanna get away.
Now, for starters, this is not me attacking India Arie in any sort of way, and this is not me defending Young Miami. But I think this is a conversation that honestly needs to be had, and it needs to be had with people who are really willing to be honest and tell the truth about the state of hip hop and how it is affecting the Black youth. Most people won't do that. They are selective with their outrage. Most of their outrage is fake, and they want to target certain people who they don't like. But if they like you, you can literally get away with anything. Now, I am from the same generation as India Arie. So I pretty much seen the same things that India Arie seen in the hip hop community, but she has a more in depth understanding of it because she was actually inside of the hip hop community. She's definitely an insider, but she's speaking as if she is above her own era and her own degeneracy within the hip hop community that she did not call out while she was in the community. And that's the issue that I have. I am not defending Young Miami. I don't even listen to her music. But if you're going to have a conversation about these things, you have to look at every single factor, and you can't just blame one person for something that honestly is way before her time. Young Miami is born in 1994. So that means she is a member of the Generation Y. India Arie was born in 75. So that means she is a member of Generation X, which is my generation. India Arie is 20 years older than Young Miami. And I believe that because they're both in the entertainment business or the music industry, I believe that if India Arie honestly had an issue, a real issue, with Young Miami, that she should have reached out to her behind the scenes, not on camera, to run for clout. I believe that India Arie is clout chasing, and she's using Young Miami's motion to bring attention to whatever it is that she has going on. The last time India Arie released the album was in February of 2019. It flopped. The last time she was on tour was in 2014. It didn't do well either. Now she makes a video, a 20-minute video on her Substack account. And in this video, she's saying that she's not calling for a boycott of Young Miami's music, but she just wanted to address matters that was happening in the music industry and with the youth. I don't believe her. I think she's being very disingenuous. And I believe she's clout chasing because she's done it before and then she backtracks right after she gets what she wants. She put out a 20-minute video. 45 seconds into the video, she tells you what she wants. And what she wants is to promote her third album's 20-year anniversary. She's promoting her Substack and she's letting you know that she's in the blogs. And I'm sure she loves the attention. So I'm not sure if she's paying the blogs or if they have some sort of agreement or an arrangement that whenever she says some outlandish foolishness for clout, that she uses whoever the platform is.
Oh boy. Hello, hello. Hey, hello, hello. That's the Erykah Badu version, by the way. Hello, hello. Hey, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Okay. I have marks from my glasses. My third album, Testimony, Volume 1, Life and Relationship, turned 20 years old on Friday the 27th. It snuck up on me. Somebody had to tell me. And so that's why I'm making a video right now instead of writing about this on my Substack, which if you know me, you know I like writing on my Substack. And you don't need to see that bowl back there. Okay. And I've been in the blogs a couple times this last week. And so
again, I am not attacking India Arie. I am just highlighting pattern recognition. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now, the last time India Arie was with her clout chasing propaganda was back in February of 2022. Now, just to highlight what was going on at that time, we all know the pandemic shut everything down in 2020. So artists were not able to tour. They were not able to make any money. 2021, we get the jab. It's also at the same time that in Hollywood, the writers went on strike. So we have 2020, 2021, and now we're in 2022. A lot of these entertainers were not making any money. Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade's wife, even went on a podcast and said that most of her celebrity friends were having financial problems because they were not able to work. And the same thing was happening for entertainers, rappers, singers.
For most, certainly Black entertainers, Black celebrities, most of us are one or two checks away from not having money to pay for all of our things. So this stoppage of work and money is impacting marginalized celebrities the most.
So around this time, Joe Rogan had the #1 podcast on Spotify. Not just on Spotify, Joe Rogan had the #1 podcast in the country. It was announced via news reports that Joe Rogan had signed a suspected $200 million contract with Spotify. India Arie also had a podcast on Spotify. She also has her music on Spotify. She does not own her masters, so she's getting the same crumbs that any other artist is getting who does not own their masters. I don't know what it is, 3 to 5%, 3 to 5 cents per however many hundreds of thousands or whatever the case may be. So she's not making any money. Somehow, according to India Arie, Joe Rogan's use of the N-word made him a racist. The blogs picked it up. It goes viral. Next thing you know, we have the Democrats and their media giving fuel to this propaganda. Several days later, Spotify gets in contact with India Arie. And whatever deal they made, they made. We have no idea. India Arie goes on CNN, does an interview with Don Lemon, and somehow, magically, she does not believe that Joe Rogan is a racist.
Because there is Joe Rogan, his insensitive language around race. There's that. And there's also Spotify and their treatment of artists, and there's that. I knew about Joe Rogan's insensitive comments around race before because I'm a podcast listener and I had heard many episodes of his podcast.
Now let's rewind that. Let's spin the block on this again. India Arie just said she knew about Joe Rogan's colorful language regarding race. She knew of his usage of the N-word because she listened to his podcast multiple times. Now, why would someone who believes that a person is a racist, a white guy using the N-word multiple times, why would a black woman, a pro-black woman, listen to that man's podcast multiple times if she thought he was a racist?
I knew about Joe Rogan's insensitive comments around race before because I'm a podcast listener and I had heard many episodes of his podcast.
Now, just to put things in perspective, India Arie music is not selling. The last album she put out was in 2019 and it flopped. India is not on tour. She hasn't been on tour since 2014. That's almost a decade. She does not own the masters to her music. So when she put out this propaganda hit piece against Joe Rogan, and he had just signed this deal with Spotify, all of the backlash, of course, coming from the Democratic Party and the so-called woke pro-blacks, Spotify reached out to her and made a deal with her. Again, she has a podcast on Spotify. And she was really upset because Spotify signed a suspected $200 million contract with Joe Rogan, but she didn't have that that type of contract. Of course she wouldn't. Joe Rogan has the #1 podcast in the nation. Now listen, after she has received whatever deal she got with Spotify, because this had nothing to do with the black community, although the black sheeple was following behind this fraud, calling Joe Rogan a racist. India Arie, now that she's gotten her deal, listen to what she says. She's saying, hey, I don't believe Joe Rogan is a racist because of his uses of the N-word. Well, those of us who use common sense and logic, we already knew that when you said that you watched his podcast multiple times.
And also, I don't think that Joe Rogan is racist for using it. I think he's insensitive for using it. Yeah. And also, I don't think that Joe Rogan is racist for using it. I think he's insensitive for using it. Yeah.
Now, during this time, India Arie claimed that the reason that she sounded the alarm, calling Joe Rogan a racist, was because someone sent her a compilation video of multiple clips of Joe Rogan's usage of the N-word. The clips were from as far back as 11, 12 years before. And they took all of these clips and put them together out of context. And according to India, this is what made her go online and go public with Joe Rogan's uses of the N-word. Well, we know that's a lie because she's already on CNN saying that she didn't think he was a racist and that she had watched his podcast many times. Again, the fake outrage always gets them every single time. India Arie is another shill of the Democratic Party. They use these black celebrities to get the black community all in their feelings, hot and bothered. You want to protest, you want to fight for everything other than yourself. You fight for these celebrities who are nothing more than puppets and clowns. They get the bag and you get nothing. And that's exactly what India was after. The bag. Her music was on Spotify. She doesn't own her master. She's getting paid pennies. Her podcast is on Spotify and she's getting zero. The announcement that they were going to pay Joe Rogan $200 million, or that he had signed a suspected contract worth $200 million, or over $200 million. This is what sent her out to the masses. This is what started the propaganda for the Democratic Party. Most of them were hating Joe, calling him a Trump supporter, MAGA, the same thing they call anybody that they can't control. And because of the Democrats' hate for Joe Rogan, he's the #1 podcast in the nation. They can't control what he says. India Arie was a useful idiot, a tool that the Democrats used to attack Joe Rogan. And you black folks really think she's speaking for black people. No, honey, she's speaking for the bag. Now, after all of this happened, everything went down. Now they're calling for a boycott of Spotify. There's major backlash. Spotify crumbled under the pressure and made whatever deal they made with India. Joe Rogan apologized to save his podcast and to help the company.
I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. And there's another clip that I have to address. There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia, and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. And we didn't know where we were going. We just got dropped off by a cab, and we got dropped off in this all-black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining, and I said we got out, and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like that. And I immediately afterwards said, that's a racist thing to say. I deleted that whole podcast, but obviously somebody made a clip out of it and taken out of context. It looks terrible, but it looks terrible even in context. It's a fucking idiotic thing to say. And I was just trying to be entertaining. I certainly wasn't trying to be racist. And I certainly would never want to offend someone for entertainment with something as stupid as racism. My sincere and humble apologies. I wish there was more that I could say, but all of this is just me talking from the bottom of my heart. It makes me sick watching that video.
Now, Joe Rogan accepted accountability for his actions. He admitted to his stupidity and allowing the foolishness to come out of his mouth. And I do not hold excuses for anyone. He said what he said. I shill for no one. It is what it is. But this entire attack against Joe Rogan was for the bag to come from Spotify. India Arie was a useful idiot who got crumbs, but the Democratic Party got a bag. Joe Rogan was a target that the Democratic Party used in order to get to Spotify. Just like Young Miami, right now, she's the target that's being used by the Democratic Party because they're trying to get to Diddy. Diddy being in jail for however many years is not good enough. And remember, news just came out. Multiple sources are reporting that Donald Trump may sign a pardon to get Diddy out of jail. Now, all of a sudden, here comes the useful idiot, the token tool, India Arie, who shucks and jives for the bag. She's coming for Young Miami. I cannot name one female rapper that did not say or has not said the same foolishness that Young Miami is saying with this song, Spin That. They've been saying this for the last 15, 20 years. So we're not going to pretend to be outraged because we know what it is. If there was no audience for that type of music, that music would not exist. Now, everything I've said thus far was for me to make sure that I gave anyone listening to this a clear understanding of who I believe India Arie is. Now we can sit and have a real conversation about what's happening within the Black community. Rap music, crime with our youth. Fun fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with hip hop music. If it did, there would be no Black people living in the hood. Everybody would be dead. Now, according to demographic reports, 60% of hip hop music, their listening audience is white youth, white people. So how is it that all of the crime is in the Black community if it's the hip hop music that's affecting the Black minds? But why isn't it affecting the white minds? I have a hard time understanding with so many educators and psychologists in the Black community why no one has figured out that maybe, just maybe, the problem with the youth in the Black community and crime is more than just about the music that they're listening to. I seen a clip of NBA YoungBoy concert. He had a concert here in New Orleans, where I'm from. And in the concert, they're surfing the crowd with the camera. And they're showing young Black boys in tears, crying, listening to NBA YoungBoy's music. Trauma music. But he's talking about the pain that he's been through. The pain of not feeling loved, feeling abandoned. And these young kids are crying. This is more than just about music. This is about the conditions that Black young children in poverty are living in. I looked at those young boys who were at the NBA Youngboys concert crying. And I said, those kids are in some serious, serious pain. Most of those children, our Black youth, most of those kids are living in third world countries right here in America. You drive through some of these hoods in different cities, and they really look like third world countries. Communities being overtaken by gang members. All poor people are not bad people. And just because they're poor does not mean that they lack humanity or they're not deserving of humanity. So when I hear folks saying foolishness, that hip hop music is responsible for the crime in the urban areas, all I can do is shake my head. In the great words of Malcolm X, Malcolm X says, the Black community is over-policed. There's more police in the Black community than any other neighborhood in all of these cities. So why is there more crime in the Black community if there's more police than anywhere else? What is happening to the youth in America, Black youth in particular, is not because of hip hop music. It is an insult to the intelligence of anyone, any reasonable, logical thinking person. It is an insult when people are saying that hip hop music is what's causing the crime in these areas. I don't want this video to be too long, but this video is one of 3 videos that I'm going to drop. This video itself was because I wanted to make it clear how I feel about India Arie, how I feel about the sheep in the Black community, how I feel about the Democratic Party, and the propaganda pieces that they play on you every single day. This is nothing more than political propaganda. The only reason that Young Miami was singled out was because of her relationship with Diddy. That's it. If you believe the Democratic Party cares anything about Black children and hip hop music, you're insane. Not just the Democratic Party. There's no political party that even cares about humanity, if we're being honest. If they honestly cared about these young Black boys, they would not be arresting young Black boys whose brains are not fully formed and trying them as adults, putting them in adult prisons, sentencing them to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Teenagers. Why is there more funding for programs in the Black community to uplift Black girls, but they don't have those same programs for Black boys? Why are they taking funds from programs in the schools for these Black boys? Taking programs away from them. Why are they defunding mental health? This is nothing more than just another piece of political propaganda so that we don't discuss the real issues. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to end it here. I want to say happy 4th of July to those who celebrate the 4th of July. And I'm going to end with this. People discuss other people because they don't have the courage or the testicular fortitude to discuss the real issues. Thank you guys for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Go, live and go.